What's up guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm super excited to have all of your beautiful faces back. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and like, because we talk about comic related movie stuff every single week. Now today we are going to be talking about Mysterio, and it is not Mysterio from WWE, so hold your horses, but we are talking about Brokeback Mountain himself, Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal. Now Jake Gyllenhaal is confirmed to be the new supervillain in the new Spider-Man movie. Now obviously, as you've guessed it, he is going to be playing Mysterio. So the first time I heard this, I was like, what? This is amazing, because Jake Gyllenhaal is an absolute powerhouse of an actor. I mean, we've saw him in stuff like Nightcrawler, where he played a very dark role, and obviously way back in the day, like, I mean, I was still a very young kid, but at that time we saw Donnie Darko. Yeah, so Donnie Darko, this guy knows exactly what he is doing. So let's jump into this. Let me explain to you who Mysterio is and what it may be hold for the next coming movies. But let's first have that intro. I've been in your waters. So Mysterio, also known as Quentin Beck. Now Quentin Beck was, his first appearance was in Spider-Man number 13. This is where we saw him for the first time, and this is where he actually tried to frame Peter Parker's Spider-Man for robbing a museum, for robbing an art gallery. Now what he did was he deactivated Spider-Man's spidey senses using gas, so that Spider-Man wasn't aware of what was going on. Now to touch on Mysterio's abilities, he's not a super, like a villain with powers, even though it seems that way, but he uses like illusionist tricks, because that's what he was before he became like a villain. He was a performer in Hollywood. He was an illusionist, a hypnotist. He was like a very similar to a mentalist. Now a lot of people think that he has powers, but he just uses like smoke and mirrors. A lot of times it's very similar to what they do on these magic shows. Now I'm a big fan of magic, like all my friends know I'm a big sucker for card tricks. So that's basically, essentially, that is what he does. So he basically manipulates people, but he can also hypnotize people to do what he wants them to. So on that night, Spider-Man outfooled Mysterio, Quentin Beck, by actually getting him caught, and he was thrown into jail. After he was thrown into jail, that is where we see him revenge his plot against Spider-Man, because Spider-Man now ruined his career, because he is no longer this famous guy. So obviously after that, he went and he joined the Sinister Six. Now the Sinister Six is actually what we, like in the first Spider-Man Homecoming, this is where we're going to see him in the new Spider-Man movie Far From Home, Homecoming to whatever the title is going to be. But in Spider-Man Homecoming, so the first Spider-Man that we have with Tom Holland, we actually see the Michael Keaton playing the character of Vulture. He was the first villain that we saw. Tom Holland, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, it's a lot of words, but he was the first villain that we saw in this franchise. Now Mysterio and Vulture, they start this group called the Sinister Six. Now after Quentin Beck was thrown into jail, he devised a plan. I mean, obviously all these villains are always super sour when they get caught out. I don't know, it's like they just can't learn, but they devised a plan then against Spider-Man. Now in Homecoming we see Michael Keaton, who's obviously playing Vulture, but we see in the after credits where he meets up with Scorpio. So this is where I'm getting super excited, because now we have Scorpio, we've got Vulture, and now Mysterio is also coming in. So this is the build up to the Sinister Six. Now the Sinister Six is pretty much, I won't say like the Suicide Squad, but it is way different. But they are the rogues that always go after Spider-Man, because I mean, obviously this guy is ruining plans. So we see the Sinister Six always fighting Spider-Man. But Vulture is obviously what we saw in Homecoming 1. So yeah, I'm getting very excited with Vulture that we had in number 1 with Mysterio coming, and then who knows, maybe Scorpio is going to be in it as well. But with Mysterio, this is an awesome character. I'm super keen to see what Jake Gyllenhaal is going to do with the character. Is he going to be able to fool us all with this illusionist? Now that's one thing that you need to remember, is Mysterio does not have powers, even though it seems that way. It seems like he can fly, it seems like he can teleport, but this is all smoke and mirrors. So I reckon that is why it is so important for him to deactivate or to disable Spider-Man's Spidey sense, because if he dashes away or if he just goes away with smoke and mirrors, there's no way for Spider-Man to track him. So guys, that is it for this one. It was a short and sweet one, but I'm super excited for what is still gonna come next week. We are dropping an anime segment as well. Now, if you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos as well. And as always, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Peace!